Alicia Daniel Hall, Pompano Beach attorney and realtor. I am here to bring you a recap of the February 22nd commission meeting. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can be notified as soon as I upload a new video. I provide content about estate planning, probate, and of course real estate, especially Pompano Beach focused real estate and just overall living here in Pompano Beach. This week's meeting was 5 hours long. Why? Because we talked about our most popular conversation topic right now here in Pompano Beach, the intersection of Atlantic and Dixie. I sat through the 5 hours, so you didn't have to. Don't worry, the recap is not 5 hours long. Before we get into the conversation about the Atlantic and Dixie intersection, the commission meeting actually started off with a proclamation. Henceforth, the first Monday in the month of March will be known as COVID-19 Victims and Survivors Memorial Day here in Pompano Beach. So, like I said, that's what we started off with, and then we rolled right on into the intersection. As always, whenever the commission is providing a conversation about this particular intersection or the overall project, they always begin with a conversation or a discussion of where we have come in that particular neighborhood. So over the last 20 years or so, the city and the Pompano Beach CRA, which stands for Community Redevelopment Agency, have acquired about 30 acres of land. And they provided us with a bullet point of some of the key accomplishments on the road to downtown. In 2008, there was the Downtown Charrette. I am not going to lie, I was not living in Pompano Beach in 2008, and I've tried to Google and figure out what Downtown Charrette means. Nothing came up. So if anyone knows what that is, please, please, please let me know. I would really appreciate it. I'm curious too. The connectivity plan was created in 2010. The Cultural Center planning and design was completed in 2010 as well. The Northwest CRA massing and zoning analysis was done in 2011. The Downtown Pompano TOC Land Use and Overlay District was adopted in 2013. The MLK Boulevard improvements were completed in 2015. Old Town Streetscape was completed in 2016. Civic Plaza and Fire Fountain were completed in 2016 as well. The Cultural Center construction was completed on May 11th of 2017. The East Transit Oriented Corridor, which they refer to as ETOC, was completed in December of 2017. Atlantic Boulevard and Dixie Highway Complete Streets conceptual design was worked on from 2015 through 2018. And Phase 1 construction, Atlantic Boulevard and Dixie Highway, that's where we are now, started in October of 2021. So what's missing from our downtown area as far as this overall project and redevelopment is concerned? We don't have a defined gateway and entrance to Pompano Beach. When you really think about it, Atlantic is our main thoroughfare. It's the main entry to our city. And we have to be honest, it doesn't look great. And so one of the things that they're trying to accomplish with this project is to beautify, to make our entrance as beautiful as our beach. Once you get through all of, well, you know what it looks like, right? Another thing that we are missing is connectivity and walkability. It's not connected. It's not cohesive at all. And so what they are trying to accomplish, especially with this particular intersection redesign, is making it safer, making it walkable. Right now, yeah, I guess you can cross those streets, but do you really want to? Probably not. They want to activate the areas with people doing things, people socializing, people enjoying living in and being in Pompano Beach. They want it to be more of a neighborhood community vibe that you see in certain towns where you have restaurants, you have bars, you have outdoor events, that sort of thing, and they want it to be right in that space. So like I said, opportunities for gathering and socializing more than just once a month. Once a month at Old Town on Tap, that's pretty much all we have for gathering and socializing in Pompano Beach, especially in the downtown area. And so they want to change it. And that's the goal of this project. Well, one of the goals of this project. They want more restaurants and bars. You can't deny we have practically none in that area, but it's downtown. So What's a downtown without bars, without restaurants? Is it really a downtown? They want to add some retail. They want to add residential. Everyone knows that we definitely need more housing opportunities here in Pompano, in South Florida in general. And of course, they also want to add some office and opportunity for a great work environment in that area, which naturally would provide jobs. We can't go wrong with more jobs, right? So they provide us with a little map that shows the different areas that create what they're referring to as our downtown. The pink area is what they refer to as the quadrant, and it borders 95 on the west, Dixie on the east, MLK to the north, and Atlantic on the south. The yellow section is Old Town, and that greenish bluish, depending on your computer screen resolution, that is where the City Hall, the Cultural Center, and the library are located. They provided us with other photos, and these photos I've actually included in prior videos where we've discussed recaps of the prior meetings. And these are the renderings. These are the design, well, the final design, the hope, the mission, the goal. And so, as always, I like to just include them so that you can see where they are hoping to go with all of this. The goal, again, is to make the area safe and walkable. Right now, it's just not there. FYI, as far as funding, we are going to be the recipients of, we have been awarded a $25 million grant from the county, and that's from that penny surtax, that extra penny we pay. That's going to be paying for, well, contributing to the cost of this whole thing. In addition, there is the federal infrastructure bill that has passed recently. We are working on getting ready to apply for funding through that because this is definitely going to be an infrastructure related project. And so we should go ahead and get whatever funding we might be able to get out of the federal pot in order to complete this project. Additionally, the CRA is going to be issuing a request for proposal shortly. I don't believe they gave an actual date, but very soon, and this is, they're seeking a master developer to assist with the development. We have government funds, we need private funds to be thrown into this project, and private involvement as well, because someone's got to build the buildings. Someone has to actually do the build out of this vision. So we do need some private stakeholders to start signing up and joining our project. After they went over a recap of where we've been and where we've come from in that particular area and what's been accomplished with the overall project, we moved into the traffic analysis section of the discussion. The current setup at the intersection of Dixie and Atlantic is temporary. They have those cones that are up right now. Those are referred to as delineators. And the benefit of using delineators is they are able to test and simulate different traffic patterns and different concepts with the design without having to dig up the asphalt. Obviously, we wouldn't want them to dig up the asphalt, put it all back, and then we realize, wait, this configuration doesn't work. Okay, dig it up, let's do it again with a different configuration. This allows them to move it and tweak it, which they have in fact done since October. And according to them and according to their numbers, although we don't see it and we don't feel it necessarily, the numbers as far as traffic wait time have decreased since October when they initially started the testing, which is what they're doing right now. This is actually testing so that they can accumulate the data that they need to come up with the correct configuration for the intersection. So we save money and we save, obviously, time by using delineators, but obviously there are some cons associated with the delineators. First and foremost, it's the confusion of it all. It's like a maze. It's also like being trapped because the cones, you're trapped between these cones as opposed to just having lanes that are separated by painted lines on the street. It also creates accidents. We can't deny it. And the reason being is now that you have the cones, if you didn't realize you were supposed to be in the left lane until it's too late, now you have to figure out how to make that left turn that you wanted to make. Some people will just go straight and make a U-turn. Other people will just make an illegal left turn or block up traffic in order to move in front of the traffic. And so these are the kinds of things that have been happening and that have been adding to all of our frustration. The one goal that they mentioned here is they want to change the perception of the road. Right now, it's a very wide road. And when we're driving on wide roads, naturally our inclination is to speed because it's wide, it's open, so you go faster. When you're on a more narrow road, you tend to go slower. That's just a natural reaction to the road. And their goal is to slow down traffic. They have told us this multiple times. Pretty much every single time this conversation comes up at the commission, they tell us they want to slow down traffic. Why? They want to slow it down because they want it to be safer. They want it to be walkable, so they want people to be out and about in the area. But also they want to slow it down because they want people to see what's going on. They want you to see the restaurants as you're driving by. They don't want downtown to just be a drive-through area. They want to actually attract pedestrians and attract customers to the area. And so, like I said, they've mentioned this multiple times. That's their goal. Is it a great goal in light of the fact that this is our main artery? Probably not, but this is where we're going. This is what we're doing at this point. It is still a major intersection, and they pointed out that although they have slowed traffic, they have not stopped traffic. Some people suggested, and they mentioned this during their presentation, that maybe instead of removing a lane, maybe they should just put up an overpass if their concern is, walkability, if they want people to feel safer crossing over. And they said that this is actually not really the best option for this area, specifically because, and apparently, this was news to me too, overpasses or overpass bridges don't really work in a situation where people can stand at the street and see the other side right in front of them. Kind of makes sense. If you can just go straight, you're going to go straight as opposed to climbing a bunch of steps and walking over. It's out of the way. And they said that these overpass bridges are really more beneficial in a situation like crossing with 95, where you have a 4-foot-high wall that's preventing you from going. Then you don't have a choice. You're going to climb the steps. You're going to go over. That's what they said. Big announcement, guys. The next step is to remove the delineators. Yay! They are removing the delineators because they have collected sufficient data so that they know the proper configuration that needs to be set up once they are ready to finalize the intersection construction. So, the nightmare with the delineators is almost over. We're almost there, guys. Almost. It's going to be a two-phased process, and this is because they need to do it in an orderly fashion. Also, they are going to be coordinating with BSO and obviously a contractor, because the contractor has to remove the delineators and restripe the roads, so basically putting the lines back where they were originally, because we are going back to the way it was originally, apparently, before they do the construction. They are going to be doing this, like I said, in two phases. They're going to start on Dixie, and then they're going to do the Atlantic side. So it's Dixie and then Atlantic. There was a vote, and it was raised by Commissioner McMahon to get this part done ASAP. They didn't come up with a date, so there was no actual date deadline. The vote was basically get it done as soon as possible, and also get the restriping done overnight instead of during the day. The vote did pass, but again, they didn't come up with an actual date deadline because they really can't. It's not in their hands. You need a contractor and you need BSO before you can even do it. So that was the vote, guys. Here's the thing. Someone, I don't remember which commissioner it was, but one of them mentioned, because you do need contractors who are ready, willing, and able to work overnight. And, that's okay. If the one that they're working with right now doesn't want to do it overnight, that's okay. There are plenty of other contractors. This is South Florida. We build things all the time. There are plenty of other options. We don't need this one particular contractor. And someone also mentioned, if we can't for some reason find a contractor, we do have city employees who paint stripes and do the roads and all that stuff. So we have our own staff that we can use for overnight if necessary. So that was mentioned. So at the end of the day, the goal at this point is to remove the delineators and restripe the roads as soon as possible. Vice Mayor, so this is actually kind of a digression, but not really, because it does still relate to it. They, during the presentation, were saying that this whole downtown renovation is somehow going to eliminate slum and blight in the Northwest Corridor. And Vice Mayor Beverly Perkins wanted to make it very clear that everything being done right now by this project is to improve the downtown areas, and it has nothing to do with improving any slum and blight in the Northwest community. That is not the goal, and that is most likely not what is going to be the result of it. And just so that you know, and just for clarity, Vice Mayor Perkins has been against, she's been a no vote on this entire project ever since it first came up in 2016. So she has been consistent in her position on this. Now, here's where we had an issue. Commissioner Eaton responded to Vice Mayor Perkins' statement. And I'm just going to read my sort of summary that I typed up. She said that improving the look and feel of a community is the basic fundamental tenet of what redevelopment is. It is a way to achieve improved economic conditions. Slum and blight are eliminated by creating economic prosperity for the community. She looks at this project as parity, so the Northwest community has an opportunity to thrive like the beach has. Here's the thing. While her opinion obviously matters, and I think that I understood what she was saying and where she was coming from, the problem with it was the delivery. There is a way to convey an opinion without being disrespectful, without being condescending. And she added, a little statement along the lines of, if Miss Perkins doesn't know this, I can give her a book that describes it or explains it. And that just wasn't necessary. I thought that what she was saying was enough. She didn't have to take it to that level. And many of the residents that spoke during the public hearing actually voiced their anger, their disappointment in that statement, in that whole presentation, the way it was handled by Commissioner Eaton. So, anyways, public comment was opened, and it was about an hour and a half of public comment. So our neighbors definitely did show up. There were probably about 50 people in attendance. About 31 spoke. Most of them voiced their anger, their frustration with the entire project. It was overwhelming against the project. There were a couple of people there that voiced their support of the project, but the majority were opposed to the project. And like I said, it was an hour and a half. But at the end of the day, the data collected, they have sufficient data, and they are ready to move forward. They're going to improve the traffic in the area and start the construction towards sometime later this year. They did not give us any sort of dates on when the construction is going to begin, but I think it's safe to assume it's going to be sometime after the election. Just a guess. Also, very important, Vice Mayor Perkins made a motion to scrap the entire project and find another way to accomplish the project's goals without removing lanes. Her motion was seconded by Commissioner Floyd, and I'm going to provide you with sort of summaries of what the other commissioners said during their commentary before the vote on that motion. Commissioner McMahon, we'll start with Commissioner McGee because she did speak first. She focused on the expense that has been outlaid to date on the project and said that we need to move forward. Otherwise, what have we done all of this for? That was her basic summary, her basic response to the motion of finding a better alternative to removing lanes. Commissioner McMahon had the same feeling. Basically, we've spent the money. He was also very focused on the potential loss of that $25 million grant from the county. And he did also mention if we were to scrap that portion of the project and potentially lose the grant, we could also have a negative impact on our relationship with the county. Okay, that's just where he was. And then Commissioner Eaton echoed what Commissioner McGee said regarding this domino effect, and she said this is the first step in addressing slum and blight in her view, and she thinks that it's just important. We have to get through it. At the end of the day, here's the thing. Change is never easy. Change tends to be a difficult process, and there's nothing we can do to stop this. It's happening. It's done. It's pretty much a fait accompli at this point, right? I do wish there was more willingness to at least consider alternatives to accomplish the goal of that connectivity. Someone during the public comment had suggested, and I actually like this one. I don't know if it was even thought of, but if we are talking about expanding, adding, these 500 unit buildings in the area, why not make all of Atlantic one way into the city, and then MLK one way out? That way you'll have all the lanes you need to support all of this traffic. I kind of like it, but it doesn't really match with their goal of slowing down traffic, because then you're back to the widening, that whole concept of if the road is wider, people want to go faster and they want to slow the traffic down because they want to change the perception of the road. So that's probably why they didn't go that route. But I thought it was a really cool concept, or something to at least think about. And then one other, I'm not going to go through all the public commentary because there was a lot. Like I said, about 31 people spoke. Another person, and this was real, she said, I'm pretty sure that Brickell, the renderings of Brickell, looked great on paper, but it now does take an hour to get in or out of Brickell. It just is what it is. It's a mess because they just built and built and built, and it literally does take that long to get in or out of Brickell. I've been stuck in that traffic many a time. So, like I said, they are going to be removing the delineators. We're going back to the old traffic pattern at Atlantic and Dixie. And then sometime later this year, probably after elections, we are going to see them get started with the construction. I'm also including a picture of what the intersection is going to look like once all is said and done, so that you can take a look at it for yourself. That was kind of the end of the discussion. Like I said, it was an hour-long presentation and an hour and a half of public comment, and then we got into the regular agenda. The first thing they did was they discussed the designation. It's going to be a dual road now. Northwest 7th Street is also going to be the Hattie Kimbrough Williams St. They just mentioned in passing that Hattie Kimbrough Williams, she was a figure that contributed greatly to the city. I really do wish that they had provided, maybe someone had read a summary or even inserted in the agenda something about her, because they didn't even discuss it. And I just feel like this would have been a great opportunity to put that on the record and make sure that everyone understands why this street is being named after Hattie Kimbrough Williams. But they didn't, and I feel like that was a missed opportunity. Also, a representative from OHUI, which is the Office of Housing and Urban Improvement, was there. Definitely have a big announcement so that people are aware, because one of the issues that Vice Mayor Perkins mentioned is, very often people reach out to OHUI to ask about availability of funds for, some of the different projects that they have, and they are told, well, the funds have already been used. It's closed at this point. And no one really is notified when it's open, because no one really goes to the Pompano Beach website. And so what Vice Mayor Perkins asked was if perhaps they can send an email to some of the city community organizers, so maybe the large churches. That way they can disseminate the information to to community members, because right now the system we have is just not working. No one is checking the Pompano Beach website, and so if that's where they're putting it, no one, in general, people just don't know. And even worse, he mentioned that the wait list for the Housing Rehabilitation Fund is currently open. Well, I went on the website, and their website actually says it's closed. So it's bad enough that we're not checking the website, but apparently the website is also not being kept up to date. So we need some sort of a method so that people know what is going on. When are the funds available? And what they're going to be doing now is the commissioners are going to be sending a list of email addresses to OHUI. And so they are going to include some of those community stakeholders, as well as each commissioner is going to be receiving emails whenever funds are going to be available. But like I said, the wait list for the Housing Rehabilitation Fund is currently open. And what that fund does is it provides up to $60,000 to eligible homeowners for repairs, including correcting code violations, weatherization, roof, plumbing, and electrical improvements, as well as septic tanks. So basically, it's making sure and providing assistance so that people can have their homes compliant with the code and just making sure that the homes are livable. If you are interested in applying for this funding, please call 954-786-4659. I'm also including in the description below, I will be including the link to the website so that you can go there and you can actually see the forms that are related. And it also has an explanation and a breakdown of, what the eligibility for this program is, because that's also important. And then next up was a resolution between the city and the Broward County Habitat for Humanity, where they are going to be building several homes, and the CHODO, which is a community housing development organization, is going to be contributing $200,000. So that is $50,000 each towards 4 homes that are going to be constructed. And then the last 2 items that they discussed were ordinances related to electronic scooters. If you've been to some of the beach cities down here in South Florida, you've seen these scooters out and about, just strewn about. And so what we are doing here in Pompano Beach, so that we don't end up with that situation on our streets, is we are going to be prohibiting the rental of scooters for use on our public streets. And so the first thing was that ordinance, again, prohibiting the renting of motorized scooters for use on city streets. And then the second thing was, it's a 2-part. One is they had to modify the definition of motorized vehicles. So that includes the motorized scooters to conform with the state statute. And it also added micro-mobility devices to the code as under the definition. And again, we're prohibiting motorized scooters from being abandoned on city streets. So it's 2 things. One, you're prohibited from renting them. So we're not going to have any of those shops that are renting them for use on the streets, but it's also going to be illegal or against the ordinance to abandon them. So you can't, if you have one, you cannot abandon it on the street or on private property. And if you do, the city is including in the ordinance the ability to take possession and discard of those abandoned scooters, which I think is great because nobody wants to be in a community where you have these scooters just everywhere, because it is a nuisance and it's really unattractive and unsightly. So our next commission meeting is on March 8th at 1 p.m. There was actually a vote that I believe the motion was made by Vice Mayor Perkins to change the time so that all of the commission meetings will be at 6 p.m. since most people work during the day. That vote, and the vote was seconded, I believe. Yeah, the vote was seconded by Commissioner Floyd, and unfortunately it was not passed. So the next meeting is going to be on March 8th at 1 p.m. And then on March 22nd at 6 p.m. we will hold our next evening commission meeting. Finally, let's talk about upcoming events, because we do have a couple of great events coming up. This Friday, February 26th, from 2 to 6 p.m., the CRA is hosting a barbecue throwdown. Let me get you the full name of it. It is the Collier City Barbecue Throwdown. It is free for people to attend, and it's also free for you to participate in the barbecuing. If you do participate, you will get I think 5 racks of ribs. You have to provide your cooking apparatus, but the ribs are provided to you. And there will be cash prizes to the top 3 contestants. So the people that win first, second, and third prize will be getting cash prizes. Additionally, during this event, the city will actually have discussions and opportunities for people to be informed about how to obtain business tax certificates. If you want to become a mobile vendor in the city, they're going to have information and instructions on how to do so. So it's a 2-parter. You're going to be having community event. There's going to be music because, of course, you have to have music if you're eating ribs. There's going to be that community interaction and celebration, as well as some information and knowledge, which I always think is great to have. It's one of the great things about Pompano Beach that they do stuff like this. Also, the Pioneers Ball, where they will be honoring Pompano Beach residents making a difference. Specifically, it's going to be about educators, African American educators that provided and contributed to the richness of Pompano Beach. And that ball is also on February 26th. It is from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. Tickets are $15 to $20, and it's going to be at the Ali Cultural Center. By the way, the Collier City Barbecue Throwdown is going to be located at 900 Northwest 27th Avenue. I am including the link so that you can just click on this and get the information to, how to attend. And if you want to participate, the form and the instructions are also, if you follow that link, that'll take you to it. I'm also including the Eventbrite link for the Pioneers Ball if you wanted to order tickets. I don't know if tickets are still available, but I'm going to provide you with the link. And finally, of course, Old Town Untapped is on March 4th. It is in the area around Bailey Contemporary Arts. It's in the area that we've just been talking about this whole time. It's downtown. So that's, again, March 4th, because it's always on the first Friday of every month. March 4th from 6 to 10 p.m. There will be a live band performing in Bailey Contemporary Art. So there is an admission fee if you want to go in for that particular live band. It's $5 entry. And again, that is from 6 to 10. Guys, I hope this was informative. I hope it was helpful. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions about Pompano Beach or real estate in Pompano Beach, living in Pompano Beach, feel free to drop a comment, or my contact information will be in the description. Always feel free to reach out to me. And I hope this was helpful. I hope it was informative. And drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want more. Let me know what you want more of. Thanks so much. Bye.